Hi, Zizaran here, and today we're going to be designing a unique item for Last Epoch. It's the highest tier of the supporter packs. It's $1,000, and you get to work with the developers and design a unique item. So I'm joined here by Stanspar and Mike from 11th Hour Games.
Hey, dude.
Thanks for having
Welcome.
us.
Yeah, thank you for being here. This was a really cool idea. So basically, I bought one and I was like, "Can I make a squirrel unique?" And they were like, "Yeah, do you want to do it on stream?" And I was like, "Yeah, sounds like a pretty cool idea actually." So here we are, and we haven't really done any like prep work for this. So the basis of the unique I want to create is I want the druid, the wolf summon, to turn into squirrels, and basically as many as they will let me have. Is like the concept for the unique. So instead of an army of wolves, you have a literal army of squirrels. And why squirrels, you might ask? We have like 3 squirrels in our garden, and they're adorable and cute. So
What were their names again?
I was just about
uh
to ask you named them.
I know. One of them's called Aigil. That's like the alpha, the Chad squirrel that comes up and like sits on our shoulders and stuff like that. The other two I can't remember the names of anymore because they don't come around as much. Aigil actually like shoos them
Uh,
away.
I thought one was like Bjorn or something. Like really.
Helena will remember. I can't
Yeah.
remember. I'm actually gonna send her a message while we're doing this. Let's see, what are the other 2 squirrels called? But either way, that is the concept of the unique. So
Yeah. It's funny because while we didn't do prep work, the interesting thing about doing it this way is this is kind of similar to how we design unique items anyways. We try to like one of the most at least our approach to a unique item design is to centralize around like a core concept, either a build we want to enable or a set of builds or a play style or even if we just have an idea for a theme in mind, so we can take it from any of those directions and then we'll design the other elements of the unique items around those. So this works for us. We've done this many times.
So what do I have to decide first? Like obviously I've designed like the or like come up with like the core part of the design, right? Which is just squirrels. What is
Yeah.
the next step?
So for us, usually what we like to do is we try to take a lot of ideas. Now, in terms of the amount of unique items we've thought of versus the unique items we put in the game, we probably have like a 90% ratio of cutting our ideas. So a lot of what we can do up front is just start thinking of what would we want it to do. Let's think of other ideas it could do. We can start thinking about the slot it could be on, and then after that, we could break down, say, the different stats we might want it to have.
Okay.
And a good point for you that you may not be aware of is we are willing to do special ability properties. If you've seen Boardman's set, we did quite a few interesting new stat properties and affixes for his. We've done that with others as well, so it's something we're definitely I look forward to digging into here because what do you do when you want to make some affixes to relate to squirrels?
Exactly. So I'm wondering, I like just to like have multiple ideas out there. Like the druid has multiple summons, right?
Yep.
Is another
Yeah.
thing that could work like just different types of squirrels? It just changes all different summons into a different type of squirrel? Or is that
So
too much?
normally we don't put we won't put a lot of custom models and VFX into the unique items.
Mhm.
So ideally, we'd love to just stick to one
One
like core
squirrel.
theme. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I haven't played a summoner in a while actually. That was like my favorite build so far was a druid summoner. How many ways are there currently of adding like flat added damage to summons?
Mike.
Yeah,
I was
great
trying to think
question.
of
I'm gonna pull up the affix list right now.
yeah. We're gonna dig through
th-
some of these in the editor at the same time. This is usually what we do when we make items as well. We kind of dig through what we have and try to figure out space to put it in.
yeah,
We don't do a lot of flat damage for minions, actually.
there's not a ton. Minion damage. What does that bring up? We there's no flat added minion damage affixes that are just generic affixes right now. That does not exist at this point.
Okay.
Let me see if there's any ability properties that do it. But there's probably some in the actual skill trees for each one of them.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I've
let's
got
see.
those open
I think
too.
I have a summoner amulet. What does that do again? The claw. 6 melee physical damage, 4 minions. You can summon wolves up to your maximum number of companions. Okay, so definitely don't want this to be an amulet. Because they sound great together.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting thing as well, is that we do have some helmets that already impact wolf limits. So there's the plus skills wolf affix sits on the helmet, and then we also
Archer's
have
Legacy as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
a unique helmet, Archer's Legacy. Yeah, that increases the maximum companion limit. So if it goes, there's sort of a opportunity cost that needs to be considered in the power of the item.
Yeah.
So if it goes in the helmet slot, it can probably be a little bit more powerful in relation to wolves. If it goes in another slot, it would probably have to be a little bit less powerful just because of the other slots that the other items it's competing with in that slot.
Right. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like helmet initially. So what's the wolf helmet? Like what is it competing with in the helmet?
Let me just make one really quick. It is, so it's +1 maximum companions. So it's just generic companions, any type. It has chill duration, chance to chill on melee hit, minion increased melee attack speed for you, and that's it.
You know, it would be really, really cool to have a helmet that literally is an acorn.
Yeah.
That would be great. That's almost like too good not to. It's almost too good not to. Just like an acorn on your head. That would be amazing.
Big acorn helmet.
I know.
Yeah, there's definitely so interestingly, I think there's good choices either. You were thinking of a relic before.
Yeah.
And I think either a relic or a helmet does give a chance for the art to kind of stand out a bit more than one of the other slots. So I have fun ideas for either slot.
Yeah.
That concept would work well for a relic too, since you hold them, they hang. So we could go either way.
Yeah. I think that's a good choice. Helmet or relic acorn would be just nuts. Actually nuts. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I would love for it to either like double or triple the amount of wolves, and then like have lower base damage, obviously.
Yeah, so there's a few things that happen with, especially getting up to triple the number, that we probably can't do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just because like there's all of the resurrection circles that happen.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if there's triple the squirrels and they we're talking in the range of I think 30 there, and then they all die and there's all these resurrection circles. It that might be a little too much.
That's fair. What if they don't resurrect?
Huh.
They can't resurrect anymore?
Yeah, what if you have to resummon them?
So
that helps for sure.
Also, actually, just a high level thing on thinking about this too is like, how will this relate to the summon wolf tree and like how we use the summon wolves already in the first place? So like we'll probably be thinking of some of the next sets of ideas in terms of how it'll fit into the tree without having any kind of conflict or affecting, say, the design of the tree.
Mhm.
Yeah, in that case, I mean, I think that's still viable. But like some stuff we're thinking about would be like, there's a leap attack in the tree. So I mean, these squirrels are going to have to be able to gap close, as you're probably already thinking about.
That is actually like part of why I want squirrels, because imagine you have like 10 or 15 or even 20 squirrels and you leap slam at your enemy and you just have like all of these squirrels leaping with their arms out. I think that would look excellent. I think that would look just glorious.
One thing we were thinking of is like, how do we scale the size? Like, so the total right now, you can actually get up to 6 maximum companions, and with I believe it's safety in numbers. Yeah, you can get up to you can just summon wolves. So if we say simply just doubled that number, it gets pretty crazy. So I do want to try to like figure out how to add more squirrels and it may not be an issue that we double the number, because sometimes we have to think about like a lot of the challenges we'll have in designing an item. We'll think about the edge cases, like what's the most extreme thing that could happen with this item. And sometimes that either limits our design or we try not to let it limit the design. But in this case, that might be something we have to actually consider pretty strongly, is 12 squirrels, or 18, I guess. Yeah, if we went to triple, would be probably overkill.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could see double making more sense than triple. Triple would probably be like performance bad too. So
if we're gonna do double, putting it in the helm slot would help that a little bit, because it would there'd be one less maximum companion slot there as well. So it's 5 to 10 instead of 6 to 12.
Yeah, double on a helmet probably makes sense. Or double
Also,
without helmet if they're not revivable. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'd also be a little bit physically smaller than a wolf too, so that would help
Yeah.
with the noise in general. That's like, we also have to think about the extreme case of online. You and a bunch of friends, you all have this item, and there's that many squirrels.
Okay, well, I know what I'm doing at least right now whenever that ever happens. We're just like, everyone that's playing with me, we're all druids, we're all gonna have squirrels, and they're just gonna just be glorious.
I have one DM right now, and it's from one of my performance engineers. I'll read it later.
Oh. It's probably like, no, please, stop.
That's okay, we'll figure that out later.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I was thinking too. So the relic slot being an acorn's a fun idea. I think the helmet it could still be an acorn, but I think we could also do something pelt related, since
True.
for the primalist wears one. I have some pretty I don't know. I could see a lot of great designs coming out of that as well. So
Yeah, no, like, that makes me think of that, like, squirrel from Ice Age or something, you know, that's just, like, always chasing a nut as well, so.
yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to think, like, what else should the helmet have? Like, I'm wondering, like, the strongest thing, and I mean, I guess every player, when designing unique, they either want to make a troll unique or a chase item, right? I obviously want to, as much as possible, make a chase item. So...
And that kind of goes next to so now we have these, you have the standalone idea. The idea is to have a number of squirrels. What could a number of minions do in a primalist build? Like what does that look like? What do we want them to do for damage? What kind of build synergies would we want? Because there's things like Warcry can buff a lot of your companions. We could do things, in the druid tree. So it's kind of like, now it's like, what do we want a larger number of minions to be like? Because one thing that's interesting about this concept is that it goes into different territory that the primalist hasn't been in already, which is having significantly more minions than it normally would. So that's kind of new for the primalist.
Right. So again, like, I only have like 200 hours in this game, so it's like harder for me, for sure. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what comes to mind is like the best ways of scaling is either being able to add flat fizz because of like the sheer number of more, or something like, obviously, like dots stack in Last Epoch. So either bleed or poison.
Yeah, and they can do something with like increased physical damage that scales both their melee attacks and the bleed damage as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've also done stuff like, so say on like Boardman's Legacy, it's got, the minions can get increased attack speed. They have interactions with a totem. There's like, we can do things in relation to other parts of the class as well, or we could do specific things that only, say, the squirrel modified version of the wolves would receive, as long as it doesn't conflict with, say, the tree or the core design of the primal. But we can. This is the one that'll be like tricky to kind of brainstorm. It's actually worth maybe just starting to think of new stats right now, because we can actually put in ability properties that are unique to this item.
Yeah, I'm also taking notes on a list of just things that pop up.
Yeah.
So how strong? I've not done a bleed build yet. How strong is bleed compared to poison?
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it doesn't stack the same way.
Oh.
So like with poison, every time you get a stack of poison, their poison resistance drops and it becomes more powerful and scales with itself. But there's more things that scale physical damage in general, so it can still be quite powerful.
Bleed Wolf is pretty strong right now too. One of our other designers is saying it's actually kind of been rising up as a thing. So that's definitely poison still our main dot archetype that seems to always be really powerful, but bleed's quite good now.
Nice.
So that's
I mean,
that's kind of like
rabies squirrels does make sense too, right?
I mean, it makes me think of the squirrels that I spent about a year trying to get squirrels out of my roof in my old house, where they managed. We actually built a grate over one top of one of our chimneys, and they chewed through the metal grate. So I mean, those little buggers. I mean, a
Wow.
bleed build is probably viable. Yeah, the Canadian squirrels are vicious, man.
That's crazy. People are like, so we have squirrels here in our backyard, and people are constantly worrying and being like, "Sis, make sure you don't get rabies." But there is actually no rabies here, like on this island. Like Ireland doesn't have rabies, so that's
Oh, wow.
nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, armor shred's a good one too, and it's like, and again, it's back to the okay. So we're gonna have way more minions than usual. If we're applying a bleed, we're probably going to be applying bleeds at a higher frequency than you normally would on a prime list. Do we want to do anything with that, or like, what is there something else we could think of in that kind of area? Is that because that's again we can play on the strength of the fact that there's more minions than usual for a primal list.
What about that the squirrels change the bleed mechanic to be more similar than poison? That it does stack differently, or that it more
We
damage
can
and more
create
stacks
new
it is.
ailments, and we can adding effects to existing ailments is difficult.
Right.
But we can add new ailments that like so they could have like their own type of bleed that would stack with itself. Having that same bleed stack with the way we have it set up, having that same bleed stack with other bleeds applied from other sources.
Everyone is now
especially-
asking for an rabies ailment.
I mean, we can do it.
We can do it?
Oh yeah.
Chat, do we want rabies in the game? Rabies stacks? What about, okay, so like when I'm thinking rabies, right? What about for each stack, something more happens, right? Like it's stacking, like a ramping debuff. Like the more rabies it is, the more powerful it is. So it's more like a single target mechanic. You leap on the boss and you see your damage go like slow and then like brum.
Another interesting thing we do is we actually have ailments that can stack to a threshold and then do something else. So we have an ailment, say, that can create a fire burst when it hits 10 stacks. If you want something like that, so we can have a stack threshold that does nothing. It just has a threshold. We can do a stack threshold that does something else, or we can just have, say, it just keeps stacking like other ailments. So there's a lot of there's a lot of play in that area.
I don't know if it's a crazy idea, but I was thinking, what if like on the larger health monsters, what if when they get to a certain rabies threshold, they become rabid and like they become a friendly unit that like survives for like 20-30 seconds? Like it makes the enemy units rabid.
There'd have to be something on bosses that it wouldn't work on
Right,
bosses, I
obviously.
think.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like what, like Walking Dead, like the rabid squirrel apocalypse, like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
that's
enough.
definitely that's a scope creep alert right there.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
a huge interaction. I'm
Yeah.
concerned about that one.
Yeah, I'm just throwing ideas out. You can shut
No,
down
it's cool.
whatever.
The ideas
yeah,
are great.
oh, yeah. I'm ready. Just keep tossing.
I was thinking like something similar to like that interaction would be kind of similar to like dominating blow in Path of Exile.
Yeah, and the only and for me, I go, where am I doing this? What's the item it's on? What is it going to do? We already have squirrels, and it's like, okay, but now these squirrels also mind control. It's a lot in one item. Would be like, not that the mechanic itself is problematic, but like combining it with already what we're doing can go really far.
Yeah. No, that was just like a crazy idea. I think like I do like the idea of like a rabies stack though.
You could
Yeah.
have it like spread bleed to other targets nearby or something like that. Like it's to sort of simulate that it's hurting its own friendly things around it, maybe.
That's not a bad idea. What if it is like, the target gets rabies and on like smaller targets, it's probably going to be like killing it very quickly, right? But when it hits like say on a rare or a boss, it'll prolift like the damage it's taking and stack it on like enemies around it.
So if we do a spread, it can't stack. Mechanically, that's a limitation, but we could still do a spread. It just would not be able to be a stacking thing. You could still do something really interesting with it, but yeah, it would be one or the other in terms of the mechanics there for what's possible.
But what if it stacks up to 10 and then one stack, but of the damage of 10 spreads? Does that make sense?
Like so you get the 10 stacks of rabies.
Yeah,
And
and say like
then-
those stacks are doing like 10, 10, 10, 10, and when it hits 10, for example, or whatever the number is, then a stack that does 100 damage prolifts, or 50 damage, or something like that. Then you still only have one stack spreading.
I'm trying to think if we can do that or not. I don't know if we can or not. I think so.
Yeah, there's no
But-
support for it right now.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think we have anything that does that right now.
That makes sense. I'm just
There's
trying to think like what we can do with rabies.
Yeah, and I think I kind of so it being something that spreads or proliferates because there's already so many squirrels. Like I would think that mechanic is kind of like a multiplicative effect on the fact that you're already multiplying the number of squirrels. So it's yeah, the only spreading one would be a non-stacking ailments, which is still possible. That would just mean that, say, if you have a lot of squirrels, it could proliferate very quickly and it can still have a tangible effect to it. But yeah, again, the stacking would be multiplied against the number of squirrels, which is probably already a performance concern.
What about if you reach X stacks, it triggers like an AoE degen?
Now, we do have support for ailments that stack, and actually, that's a good point. Yeah, we can do that. We can actually support that, like I was saying before. And actually, just as a note, so we're talking right now with the rest of our systems designers too. We're all just trying to make sure that we kind of like collectively brainstorm it as we go. Normally, with item design, it gets really technical. There's usually, we're usually digging into the code base and like trying to figure out, oh, is this possible? Oh, do we really want to spend this much time to make this thing? So we're all kind of trying to brainstorm at the same time.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
I'm looking up as we're talking. I'm just
Yeah.
like digging into the code itself, just trying to find where things are happening. Like, can we spread there?
Yeah. So we can, like I was saying before, we can stack up to a limit and then proc something else. Like it could be entirely something else. You could do like a rabies that stacks into a nutty explosion, as long as it's not an intense one. But like we can do things like that. So we could do it if it's either a spread, or it can do another kind of mechanic, or it could spot another ailment or debuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's so many choices.
There's a lot.
And how much should I care about like thinking about balance, or will you guys worry about that?
We'll figure that out after. I think right now the best thing we can do is just think of a bunch of crazy ideas and bring them all out, and then we can either, like what we're doing right now, where we explain what's possible or not, and then we can cut it down either here or later on after the stream. So I think, yeah, let's just keep thinking of crazy ideas, and we'll go from there.
I feel like I should be writing a lot more of this down.
We're writing it down too.
Okay,
but yeah.
that's
Yeah.
That's good.
We got, and it's recorded too, so we're
True.
good.
That is true. That is true. That is the good thing about doing it on Twitch. It's very fun. It's I've never done this before, so I'm just trying to think of like what we could do. So rabies stacks. I do like the idea of like it's stacking to 10 and that procs like an AoE degen. I also like the idea of it just like per stack of rabies on the target, it just takes either increased damage or increased flat or something like that as well.
I mean, we could just have rabies be like, I guess pulling it back and making it a little bit more simple is having it apply an armor shred stack at the same time.
Mm.
So it's basically it's a bleed with armor shred combined.
Right. How does armor shred work actually?
So it reduces the amount, the effectiveness of the armor that you have.
And can it go negative or just down to 0?
It can go negative.
Oh. And is that different than, is there any fist shred in the game?
There is also physical resistance shred does also exist as another element that we could do instead. Yes.
Is that stronger or different, or how does it work?
It has a maximum of 20 stack cap. And it works a little bit different because armor shred is reducing the damage from hits in general, and physical resistance shred increases the amount of damage taken from all physical sources. So armor shred wouldn't actually make bleed damage do more because it's not a hit, but physical resistance shred would make.
So we could do
Yeah.
bleed and fist shred.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be pretty cool, and then we would have that like effect of like ramping damage, right?
Yep, that would do it. That's basically what poison does right now.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I really like the idea of like the ramping damage of like all these like tiny squirrels just eating away at something.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking is like if we're going to split up, like, the wolves are usually a pretty strong fantasy archetype. You've got your pack of wolves who aggressively leap at things. And when I think I'm splitting that down to a bunch of squirrels, I'm thinking of like some kind of like gif of a dude being covered by squirrels. It's like
Not the bees, but with squirrels.
yeah, that's actually what I was actually thinking about. I just didn't want to talk about my bee bias yet again. It's like just being swarmed by something, and each individual hit isn't as powerful, but it's the overall fact that you're being swarmed by them is kind of the fantasy of it. And I think something like that, where the concept is, while each individual squirrel is less powerful than a wolf, it's the collective of them, doing something that has a huge effect.
Fire squirrel powers combined.
You've seen Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
you know those like small dinosaurs? It's gonna be like that.
Oh, the little baby ones.
Yeah.
The little cute ones. It's always like running away through the river, and then there's always some guy in every movie who decides to follow it like all the way down to around the corner. It's like, oh, wonder what's gonna be around that side.
That's when you
Like
pair
every
a single summon raptor with your squirrel army.
Oh, that's gonna be glorious. Like the only thing that I'm like the most excited for is just like doing the leap slam. Like squirrel leap slam build. You leap, all the squirrels are just throwing with you.
I feel like what's the line I'm trying to think of now? Your designers were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think whether or not they should.
That is worrying. That is worrying.
No, actually, I think we were thinking of that too. I mentioned it. I think I mentioned to you a while ago when you were talking about it on stream, because we would love to have them say, they leap with you, but something with the squirrels, it would be nice to say have them on a slight delay, so you get like a cascading effect of squirrels leaping at a target, as opposed to like the instantaneous leap effect.
Yeah.
My principal designer is probably screaming at me right now, but I was thinking of that when I was imagining like the squirrels. You'd kind of want to
Just like a wave?
Yeah. Oh, we can do that.
That'd be great.
So that is very possible. Yeah, because that's what I was kind of envisioning, and I think that's similar to what I was talking about with the wolves, where it's a different fantasy. It's an onslaught of small little creatures. So
having a random delay on the leap is actually pretty easy to do.
yeah.
Oh, nice. That'd be very, very cool. I'm hyped. I'm trying to think like how many stats are on unique items. I'm like looking at the ones I have in my inventory right now, just like random ones.
Yeah, there's usually 5 is, I would say, an average, but sometimes there's as few as 3, and I think there might be some as high as 6.
Yeah, I see a lot here with 5.
Quite a lot with
3.
4. I'm just kind of randomly going through them right now.
Yeah, and again, these are where we can do some unique properties. Like if you look at like say Boardman's Plank, where it's got plus X to lightning damage to spells and attacks when you're hit by lightning from your storm totem, because your totem can hit allies because of the set bonus. So like we can do interesting interactive ability properties, and for this item we would probably only choose say like 1 or 2. But we can still just go with traditional styles, because again, if this goes in the helmet slot, it's a very direct potential trade-off with some of the other companion affixes.
So I'm gonna just try to like, not necessarily things that'll go together. I'm just trying to think of like what could we choose from, right? So like a flat damage to attacks, I think would make sense. Is the stat that could make sense for that unique? If it's something, I'm trying to think of a way to have it like work for both single target, where you have like that ramping debuff, but then what if I do want it to be viable for like clearing and single target, what if there's like an on kill mechanic, like they're eating them, I don't know, maybe they get some sort of buff, like a 5-second buff while they're killing things.
An enrage.
Yeah.
An enraged squirrel army.
So there would be like something for clearing and something for single target.
I can't get that thought. I was thinking of like a Looney Tunes cartoon where like all the piranhas like surround like Wile E. Coyote and turn him into a skeleton.
Yeah, like if a squirrel has killed something recently, it gets like a buff or something.
Yeah, they can get all that. They can get health and damage on kill. We can give them a visible and rage buff on kill. So if you want angry squirrels on a kill, that's definitely an affix that could be straightforward on that item.
Somebody said when a squirrel dies, the rest enrage for a few seconds. That could work as well.
Actually, I like that. So why that's an interesting, good concept. It goes back to what I was saying, and because we're splitting the minions, it's nice to think of interactions that relate to that. And because they are smaller, they're weaker individually. That's a really good synergy. So like stuff like that is really cool. So that is close to the theme of kind of what you're thinking of already. I like that one, and it's also horrifying to think of. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. Just the squirrel armies coming.
It would be. I don't think this is a good idea, but I was just thinking how funny would it be if, like, the less there are, the bigger the squirrel be. So, like, if you have 10 squirrels, you have tiny ones. If you have one squirrel, you have, like, squirrel grosso grande.
Squirrel.
Just kick a squirrel.
I don't think that'd be good.
Have you seen our crustaceans part of our patches?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember those huge crabs. That was glorious.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I miss those days. But yeah, if we have giant squirrels, we might have to have a squirrel focused section of our patch notes to get deal with that.
Oh.
Yeah, we couldn't change their size as you summon more.
Right.
It would have to be more like straight interactions, like on kills and things like that, like event based mechanics.
Right. That makes sense. Trying to think what other stats would be like choices that work.
It's hard because like I think we're really thinking of like the rabies mechanic, and maybe a good way to is think of like other kinds of styles. Like what else could the squirrels do? Because they could be very fast, attackers. One thing that you'll get, say in the tree, is you can stun, have a good chance to stun. So you're gonna have a lot more, chance to proc events. So they could be slower for some reason. I mean, just anything. Like try to think of maybe different kinds of interactions.
Faster probably makes sense, right? Like minion movement speed on the helmet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Minion movement speed makes a lot of sense, especially because I think a direct concern of having that many squirrels is to that'll be a design challenge, is making sure that the AI movement, which we've actually just patched in a lot of improvements for, make sure that still looks and feels good. So the movement speed by default being baked in with the extra squirrels you're getting is definitely one of the ways we think about things sometimes when we want to think of a solution like that.
A lot of people in chat are saying throw acorns, and I did think about this too. Like something I was considering was doing like an actual set where maybe you have different types of squirrels. So you would have like a helmet set item that's turning like the wolves into melee squirrels, and then maybe like a chest or something that turns Spriggans into like acorn throwing squirrels or something. Because I don't think it would make sense for like, I don't know if they can do both melee and throw acorns.
We can make them have multiple abilities. It gets a little weird because then I don't think we have anything that would because I think we'd have to scale throwing damage. I don't think we have anything that scales minion throwing damage.
Right.
But it could be just minion physical damage that would scale that. So that's fine, really.
Yeah, because like I don't know, I'm probably like getting way too into this, but what if I have a 3-set item, right? The chest turns the wearer into a squirrel, the helmet makes wolf squirrels, and a relic that makes Spriggan nut throwers. Then you just have the full squirrel experience.
A squirrel army.
It's an idea for sure.
We'd have to bring.
Just ship it. Let's go.
You guys are regretting this already, aren't you?
No. Yeah, let's go. You know what? Squirrel
Squirrel
form. Never
form,
mind.
yeah.
We're done with werebear form. You remember that big chunky boy? We're done. It's out the window. we're going squirrels, boys and girls. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah. We can make Spriggans throw the nuts at the squirrels to buff them.
oh my god. Oh.
The new Spriggan activatable ability is feed squirrel. Walks up to them with a nut.
The Squirrel Commander. That'd be the set item name if it was a set. Squirrel Commander. Oh.
Yeah, we try to. It's actually we do this a lot too when we're trying to think of items and uniques and sets. We'll think of really crazy things, and then like it actually helps us when we pull it back to like think of like different and new things to do. So it's actually like it helps me all the time to like just think of items in this way, which is why I think about bees all the time.
Dude, did you make those bee gloves? Keeper's gloves?
I did not make the bee glove.
Oh. They're
You
great.
made the bee idols, I
The
think.
bee idol was mine.
All
Yeah.
right. I love bees.
Yeah.
It's just so great.
Yeah, we had another one we were thinking of. We've had a few unique items in mind to relate to bees, and one we were thinking of was we're not sure. It just was one of the crazy ideas we had. It was like a keeper's staff, where it's essentially like a net, and the goal would be to use swipe to catch your bees, so you can get a buff for yourself.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, it's a terrible idea. It's my idea. It's horrible, but
That is beautiful. Oh yeah, there's
I
a
will defend
magic
the world
card
from the
called...
void with my butterfly net.
Oh yeah, apparently there's a magic card called Squirrel Wrangler. It's amazing.
Yeah.
oh man. And
There's a
there's
whole bunch of squirrel
Girl.
cards.
Yeah, is it like Squirrel Girl and Marvel Heroes as well?
Yep.
Hmm. Is there actually?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, the squirrels we
Should
have
stand up.
are called Aigil, Bjarne, and Sven.
Ah, yes,
Nice.
Sven, that was the other one. So we do a thing, and I was mentioning to you before, so we have a very small percentage chance that your pets will be named random things.
Mhm.
For example, a wolf can randomly be named Fenton, and a raptor can sometimes be named Alan. So I mean, that is almost certainly something that we're going to do here as well.
Nice.
So yeah, we can support the names. Oh, here we go. Someone's linked me the guide to Squirrel Girl.
The Marvel Heroes Squirrel Girl.
You should have asked David Brevik about that to be prepared for this.
Girl.
For this,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I
he
was
probably
just...
would have given you a whole design breakdown on Squirrel Girl.
I'm trying to
Everyone's
think...
always like, "What do you think of the Diablo 2 remake, Dave?" It's like, "No, what do you think about Squirrel Girl from Marvel Heroes?" Bet you
Oh.
no one's asked him that in a few years.
That's true. People were actually asking a lot about Marvel Heroes. Wait, she
We
defeated...
still ask about Marvel Heroes. We've
Yeah.
talked to David. We talked to him about it as well. We still love that game. Rest in peace.
I know, it was sad. Sad that people can't even play it at all.
Yeah, because it actually, because one thing, I mean, obviously any game does this. I've actually, you get really inspired by other abilities and things other characters do. We've certainly been inspired by many games. Marvel Heroes is still something we look at all the time. It was a fantastic game. So it's really,
I never got to play it.
oh man.
Never
a
And,
lot
and
of
you're
fun.
a boomer too.
I know. I'm so old and I never played it. It's a
You were
shame,
playing
really.
World of Warcraft, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I lived WoW for years.
Yeah, and WoW's another
Horror.
place we get a lot of inspiration, but it's hard because a lot of times when you think of abilities and spells, you try to think of like what would be cool here, and you have to kind of put it back in context of what the design was. Like, is it an MMO? What was the style of that game? The way Marvel Heroes played is very different. Something that's cool in Path of Exile isn't always as cool in Last Epoch because we have a different game speed. And again, here, yeah, with the squirrels, it's nice because while they will be smaller and faster, they'll still be centralized around the primalist, so it's totally manageable.
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of people that have been asking me today, like, haha, are you gonna make Headhunter? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna make Headhunter.
I said that a few times in chat too. I was like, confirmed we are not making Headhunter. Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert.
see.
Let's see.
What else does
What else
it
could we
have?
do?
Yeah, what else can we do stat-wise?
I mean,
Yeah,
we can put like because we're talking about a helmet, and so that does take up the helmet slot. We could put maybe +1 to wolves on the helmet itself.
Okay.
Just give it a skill point in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, the plus max skill to wolves is a really good one. That's I don't know if you've actually
Oh,
run
right.
into those ones yet.
Yes. So I have like +1 shift is the only one I have so far. I've been trying to like disenchant the ones where I can, but I haven't really gotten that many. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we just put that in recently, so it's got a like I think there's still a lot more we can do with it. So that one's a good potential there.
What if it's from 0 to 2 to
Oh,
plus
like a
wolf?
range?
Yeah, like I think that's the coolest thing
Yeah.
because I feel like there's not that, at least on the ones I've found so far, there's not that much like range like that. It's like, for example, I have the Rocket's claws, and it seems to always be +2 projectiles with shurikens. It'd be cool if
Yes.
like there is some like RNG, like, oh my god, I got a +2 wolf helmet, right? And like, oh, this doesn't even have plus wolves. Are you kidding me? Or
Yeah.
actually,
I don't know if we can do like if we have probably to do something to
what
make
about
it so if
minus
it has
one?
0. Yeah, -1.
We
I
can, I think
don't
we can
know.
subtract it. Yeah, we do because we so Boardman said I believe limits you to 1 companion. We do have means of changing that. So
No,
But
I
this
think
would
we're talking
be
about the
level.
plus skill levels.
Yeah.
the skill level. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be hard.
I don't know if we can have the stat like vanish if it's like 0.
Yeah,
But maybe
that
it
one.
would just say +0.
Yeah,
and look
maybe we
kinda
just say
weird.
+0. Oh yeah, because there's no, like, you can't hold. Oh no, it does show you the range on unique items too, so it would say like 0 to 2 or 0 to 3 or whatever. I don't know. I
We
really do like the
Yeah,
idea.
the we can do a range. That's for sure. That's not a problem. The only thing that's giving me pause is the +0 looking weird. Like someone it drops the item with a 0 version, and it's sort of like a what is going on here?
Apparently, Boardman brought up an excellent point. He asked about poison entangling. How would that work with the squirrels?
Poison
Uh,
entangling, like entangling roots.
I'm
like
not
the
sure.
Entangling Roots poison build.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Like the roots giving things poison.
That's probably what he's wondering about. Entangling roots gives the
Oh.
wolves tons of damage.
While it's so tiny. While within entangling roots area of effect, the attack of allied wolves, serpents, and scorpions have a chance to poison enemies. Just got like the game window so tiny in my editor right
yeah.
now.
That's an interesting point because with a higher minion count comes a higher minion ailments application frequency. So that's a pretty good call out. That would be it's actually in the Entangling Roots tree. It's in the bottom right. Yeah, it's Venomous Pack, where we give 30% chance per point on poison in the Entangling Roots area. So those are the kind of interactions. Like, so it's a great point. Normally, those are the kind of things when we design an item. We'll kind of look at that after the fact or dig into it a little bit deeper when we get into the mechanics of it, because usually what we'll do is once we have a bunch of affixes and properties that we like, we'll then start trying to really dig in and go, does this actually make sense everywhere? Is there a problem? Are we okay with the problem? Because a lot of times we see those things that go live, and we try to catch them, but sometimes it's really important to just maintain a fun fantasy first over balance. Like in this case, that one's definitely a concern. But we are also looking at that tree as well, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. I wouldn't let that limit
Worst
us.
case, we could do squirrels can't poison or something.
Yeah, just give them like 100% less poison chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a great question in chat. Can the rolls be weighted? Like, for example, 50% chance to +1, 30% for +2, and 20% chance to be +3. Or even rarer.
Don't know if we have functionality for that right now. I don't think we do.
Because that would be the coolest thing, because something that I think makes it like very, very interesting for chase items is if like maybe even like the item itself is fairly rare, and then you need to actually like roll it well with like multiple things having to be good for it to be a good item.
Yeah. No, I do like having items have those like like those things that make them significantly better, like Crown of Ages in Diablo 2, like either
Yeah.
1 or 2 sockets. It's a pretty big difference
Yeah.
in how powerful that item is.
Yeah, I think that would be like definitely something I would love. Like, the more of a chase, the better, in my opinion.
We cannot do weighted rolls. Just got confirmation.
We can convert poison chance into something else though, which is the thing. So, like
Yeah.
it could be armor shred instead, which is kind of in theme of what we were talking
well,
about already.
so what if we do go with rabies then, and the poison chance or any ailment chance is just into rabies?
I don't think we can do any ailment chance because they'd actually have to be put in as individual stat for every single ailment we ever make.
Okay. Okay, so like poison to rabies then.
Yeah.
That's so crazy that you guys can't do weighted rolls. Why not?
Not yet.
Do you think
Because
that
we
is
didn't
something
think of
that
it when
is
we were
coming?
first setting the system up.
Yeah, we probably. Yeah, exactly. That's usually the answer when people ask us that question. Is, well, we didn't think of that yet.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh, yeah, we can do like poison chance becomes rabies chance. So that would avoid that particular thing there with entangling roots, though. That interaction in entangling roots is kind of OP, anyways. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear something getting nerfed. Boardman is screaming.
yeah, yeah, right. Wait, I got it from Judd. Judge's WTF devs no weighted rolls.
Yeah, no.
Fix it.
Definitely weighted rolls would be cool. But I mean, that's something that could be changed in the future too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
mean, we're always
yeah.
looking to add things like that. So.
And the thing with these items, they are like we want to maintain the fantasy of all of them, and then in the future, if something major changes in a related mechanic, they are subject to change or adjustment if we have to. But we haven't done anything significant, and obviously we don't want to make changes that are out of line with anyone's like vision for the item. So it's all open. All that matters is making the items fun and satisfying and desirable. So trying to keep them up to date is really important.
There's so much more to think about. Like, there's so much to think about. It's insane.
It's really hard to do this and make sure that we still release patches on time, because it's very easy to just think of ideas constantly, and then we'll often like bring in a new idea. Someone will shoot the other person down. Someone else will bring up an idea, shoot that idea down, and we'll go back 6 steps of like trying to figure out what makes the most sense. Normally, what we do is try to bring it back to like I'll pull a meeting, say, back to another high-level concept, which I'm about to do. What about the active ability on the squirrels? Right now we have a howl. What are you? Any thoughts on that? Because that's a possibility.
What do you mean, like? Oh,
when
right.
you have your maximum number summoned, the skill turns into an activatable ability.
Right. So I don't know. I don't think a Warcry makes that much sense for squirrels. What if that is what we do with that? The active ability is they all throw an acorn.
I mean, they could.
Yeah.
Like that could be the active ability. Because I don't like. Have you heard a Warcry from a squirrel? Like I know I haven't.
Chittering.
I mean, it could be time to find out.
True. What would a squirrel Warcry do?
I'm not gonna try to imitate the sound.
No, what would it do? Like, what would be the effect?
They would cause damage to my roof and make me have to call another exterminator. That's what they do.
I mean, right now, Howl gives Frenzy, which is pretty on theme, really, for like the squirrels getting Frenzy and like working themselves up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may just have to be a different sound.
Yeah, just like a
squeak.
A very loud chittering. Because that buff gives attack and cast speed right now, is what Frenzy does. It's 20% increased attack and cast speed.
So, what are there's like 4 or 5 different druid summons, right? What are all the effects when you press it?
The Sabretooth has 3 consecutive swipes similar to Flurry on the Rogue. The Raptor gets Rampage, which sends the Raptor itself into it gets 40% increased attack, cast, movement speed, and size as well. And then the Bear has a Roar, which I don't remember the exact effect. I'm not summoning a bear right now, installing for time. Which is, it taunts everything around it and heals itself at the same time. And then the Scorpion.
Nova and an Impale. So it's like a poison.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. Like, obviously, we have the Cry. That's one option. We could have throw acorns is one option. We can have it leaps to the nearest enemy, like leaps at them without me leaping. We could have they go rabid. Maybe that is what makes them go rabid.
Yeah, a cooldown activatable. They turn red.
Yeah, like I love that the acorn concept is making me laugh internally. I would love to sit there and make it, but I think of like, what does that actually look like? Is the question I ask. I go like, what is a hand, like, how do we make a projectile acorn look? You know, how can you track that visually? Because they're pretty small. Do we have to make a giant acorn? Is the acorn, half the size of the squirrel? I like rabid. I like them going rabid. It's honestly it's kind of hilarious.
Let me switch scene here for 1 second. Judd just linked a squirrel chirping and barking. Let's just see what that's like here.
Check that out.
That is pretty much a re.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's so. I knew what sound they made. I wasn't going to imitate.
See, now I wish you did. That would have been that would have been something special.
Yeah, Last Epoch developers. Yeah.
The only concern about the acorn throwing I have really is if they're like primarily melee, the thing that they're gonna get as a target for throwing that acorn is probably gonna be the thing right in front of them, and you're not gonna see it very much unless you're like using it on your way into combat.
True.
Another
so
thing,
I really think the Enrage is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Enrage, and to think of like say the leap again, hilarious. It's like how does X number of squirrels all land around say the collision object of an enemy, right? Like how do we get that to be not just a jank bunch of squirrels, landing in the same spot, like kind of like potato.
Yeah.
Squirrel waterfall.
Yeah. No, like yeah. I think the Enrage makes the most sense. I think it does.
I'm horrified already.
Enrage squirrels.
And wait, do we use that like the squirrel in that YouTube video? Is that the activatable ability? Is just an angry face?
Squeak. Okay, so if we go with Enrage, what does that look like? And actually, do we need to? I don't even know like what kind of like base damage the wolves have and stuff.
It doesn't really matter. Like in this case, we would probably want to do something where we split and do like a sum of the parts kind of thing. Think of like what is it, like the tall man's finger in Diablo 3 style. I think is an interesting reduction to that concept. Like not the same thing, but we would want to do something there where we're not just like doubling the power of the wolves because of the helmet.
Yeah,
but
I mean it's important that it works differently.
Yeah, like you could do something like if you're gonna split them, you can do a fractional increase where if you had 3 wolves before, you have 6 squirrels now. Each is each is significantly weaker than a wolf, but 6 squirrels is if they're all alive is slightly better than the 3 wolves. Like that's within the realm of possibility, and there's fun design there because you've got risk behind your allies. Being more, being squishier, easier to die. So that's a good gameplay interaction with them. That's the one nice thing about this is it is the The one thing is it's a bit acolyte in concept. A lot of what we do with the acolyte minions is similar there, where we treat minions as something disposable. And we've worked really hard to avoid that concept with the primalist because he's he's associated with nature. His companions are his friends and allies, and so his squirrels are going to be his homies. So I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know if I want to like sacrifice the squirrels to the cause.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I get that.
Yeah, we want to avoid them being disposable. The base, I just looked up the base damage of the wolf attack is 18 melee physical damage, and they have an inherent 15% increased damage modifier.
Okay, cool. Also, I am thinking it will probably make sense if you guys are up for it that we do 2 episodes of this, because you guys are probably gonna want to like discuss things internally too, and then we can have like a finishing it up, like what does it look like and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, so if you give us some like ideas, I mean, we've already talked about some ideas for the actual 2D art as well, and we can try and get some of that together as well, and
Nice.
see what you think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be really cool. I think people are really enjoying this, right, chat? So yeah, I think a second episode, if you guys are up for it, would be very cool.
Definitely.
I'm not reading chat. You guys can meme me later.
They seem
But
very
yeah,
Too
excited.
much of yet.
a nice thing we can do too is like say like Mike said, we could do some 2D art. We can another thing we'll do is we tend to say when we receive the ideas, we'll refine them and we can say propose different concepts to you, and then we can discuss those concepts. And that's usually an important part of the design process, where we'll bring it all together and then break it down a little bit more each time. So that way, yeah, I mean, the second meeting we would just come more prepared with stuff that we were already thinking about in this meeting, and we could really actually almost get close to a final decision on another one.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really good. Also, I remember somebody read in chat earlier. I don't know if this is like too janky to even consider, but for weighted rolls, would it work to do multiple +1s? So say like
Have a +1 stat and then a range between 1 and 2 or something.
no, but like yeah, that would be the goal, right? So you can say that the unique can do +1, +2, or +3, but say that there's 6 +1s. Then you effectively have weighted rolls, right?
Yep.
Maybe
It's
that-
a little tough to get them to have specific affixes to show or hide, and we
Mm.
technically have a maximum, I think, of 8 slots to go on an item.
Oh, okay.
If we were gonna do it, we'd probably just try and implement weighted rolls in the back
Okay.
end,
That makes
properly.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, I really do like that idea.
Okay, I already love this. I'm very excited for this. Is Frozen Fangs in the Wolf Tree? Is what happens when you have a bunch of squirrels and now they can all ice bite.
How's
They
that gonna
can
work?
now ice bite is what
Yeah,
that
so,
does.
so right now it's your wolves melee attacks have a chance to be replaced by ice bite, which deals more damage, multiplicative more damage in a larger area, and converts all its damage to cold. So you're gonna have you're gonna have a small army of just squirrels just either spamming you with rabies or freezing everything in front of you. Oh my god.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if there's like not just one way to do it too. Like if there are like multiple ways to build it. And that's what I really like about Last Epoch. I feel like quite a few things are very viable. Like actually, I screwed up my poison build, something shocking, but I think that was more, I didn't really know that you did need to scale the initial hit at all. But
Yeah, I'm trying not to backseat give you while you played.
I know, I died. I blame you.
It's okay. You told me you were going to, so
Sure.
I'll take it.
Sure.
Oh, I just lost my thought about it. Yeah. So, yeah, the nice thing too is that we can do really good trade-offs in the helmets. Like Boardman's set, limits your companions, and we do something cool with sets too. Now I remember what I was going to say is, we're really inspired a lot by Diablo 2, ways that sets were done there. We've had the opportunity over the last decade of playing action RPGs to learn different ways of how sets can work and interact, and we really love having the small piece sets where you have to make an active choice, where the set piece itself can have a really interesting stat, and maybe you don't want the set bonus because you have something else to put in that slot. But having smaller sets lets you make a lot more meaningful choices like that, and that's something we really love.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I still remember running 3-piece towels all the time.
This is great. I'm just like, my mind is going like 400 miles an hour trying to think up ideas.
Yeah, you got like the red strings on a board right now.
Yeah, literally. Like the hangover scene too, even like, where he's like trying to calculate blackjack.
What else could they do? I'm trying to think. Any other ailments? I mean, I really kind of like that concept already. Like, I really think of. I mean, I have a hard time thinking of anything else besides the squirrels destroying my roof. So I love the fact. Yeah, I love the concept of rabies, them enraging, them shredding armor. What else?
So I just realized as well. So if we do with or do go with the idea of rabies, then the howl or whatever the active ability could be increased effect or something.
Yes. That's interesting because of the limitation we're going to have to design of, we can't have it say, if we wanted to do a spread, it can't stack. But say if we wanted to do a single stack, you could have it be the case that you wait for it to spread and then you activate the ability, or you could have it be the case where it's non-spreading, but it stacks, and then you can activate the ability, which does something related to the stacking. But again, yeah, we gotta. I want to be careful of the scope creep on it, but like there's definitely something interesting there in that active ability for sure.
Yeah, like it's a lot of work in one unique already.
Yeah. To be fair, we will cut our own ideas down too. This is often what happens. The longer we talk about design, the more the creep scopes very quickly, and then we usually have to go back and review what we discussed and make sure that it still makes sense.
Yeah, it's always better to have more cool things to do and pick the best than be struggling to fill it. There's a lot of great stuff in here already.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like we have a lot of cool ideas here. I don't know if there's anything else that we missed that would work, like instead of something or on top of something.
I'm trying to think, like, what we want to do. Nothing on death. I really am trying to avoid that, but I'm like, what? I guess I don't want to think of that at all.
So
I'm not sure.
The only on death effect that makes sense is the others getting angry about it, and that kind of does fit the primalist, right? Because like you said, they are his friends. So if they get angry from a death, that makes sense.
I think if they're gonna get angry from death, they'd almost have to like have they get more damage and take more damage or something like that, where they're like they become reckless or something like that.
Or you become enraged because your squirrels are dying, like you think of the crazy cat lady in The Simpsons. Like, no.
I like that.
Yeah, that could work. That's definitely
actually that one's interesting because then it becomes almost like a sustainable ability where you. But again, I can already see my principal designer typing. I'm like, uh-oh, are we going to acolyte here? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's a fine line to walk. We just be careful about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We actually, it sounds like a small thing, but those little fantasy elements actually really make a huge difference, and we think a lot about them when we design skills. It's not always just like, hey, here's this cool random thing. A lot of time we're really trying to think of like, does this fit here, and does this conflict with any other element?
Yeah, no, I just yeah, I get that. At least we have a pretty big list to choose from already.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can fit some like some more generic stats in there as well. Sometimes that's a problem that happens with unique items, is that we get a lot of power in the unique effects, and there's not a lot of a budget for like just stats that you would get normally, and then the opportunity cost of having this item becomes quite high because you don't have access to those like up to T7 affixes that are just always available on a helmet item.
True. Like, so I'm trying to think, what do you normally do on a primalist helmet? Like maybe we should have something defensive on. I play hardcore, right? So obviously more survival would be good.
In general, yeah.
maybe just life, either percentage life or flat life could be good on it.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me just grab base type helmet. See what we got here.
Minion damage leads to you.
Yeah, sure. No, I see no problems with that whatsoever. Thank you. Is that a chat suggestion?
Ooh, resistance or percentage life per squirrel.
Oh yeah. I would have a couple. I would have a couple concerns.
The percentage life per squirrel is
Yeah.
I think just
yeah.
percentage life and then having like a big roll on it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, are you interested in having the like the stats that it does have, having those big ranges in
Yeah.
generals, just so that there's that, like, it's really difficult to get
Yeah.
a really good version of it?
Yeah, like I really like that idea. Like say for example, say that the +1 wolf or sorry, plus wolf can be from like either 0 or even I would like, oh yeah, we couldn't do negative, but like from 0 to 3 or 1 to 3, with 3 being really rare. And then what's the normal amount of what's the most a rare helmet can get percentage life?
24.
Okay, so maybe like all the way down to like 5% life being like the lower, with up to like, well, whatever makes sense, like 20 or 30 as like a really rare thing to get. So then if you do get, a perfectly rolled one or a high rolled one, you're actually sitting there pug champing your heart out because it's such a rare thing to roll. I really do like that idea. That's like always my favorite thing in ARPGs. With the same, like whenever I'm playing Path of Diablo 2, right? Like whenever I roll some of the rare items and get a good roll, and then use like the Orb of Corruption on top, I'm like, that's like the real excitement.
Yeah, they had some really, really big ranges on some items there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was an early thing with some of the first Epoch uniques that we made. Yeah, they're very, one and done. Once you got it, you had it, you didn't think twice about it. So it's definitely a concept we're trying to explore a lot more. So I like it myself too.
Nice. I like that.
Because I love, like, just think of chat, right? Like even our in-game chat. Just
Yeah,
let this
yeah.
crap roll.
Exactly, and,
Yeah.
and think about how much something like Face Breakers does for Path of Exile, right? You like
Oh,
on
yeah.
Twitch and stuff, like people find it and everyone's like, "Oh, Face Breakers percent," and everyone's just guessing, right? So I think that has like a lot of value to it. So yeah, definitely like that idea.
I still have my old face breakers from the olden days of I think it was the last I did like an Infernal Blow build way back in the day.
Oh, nice.
It's one of my favorite things ever.
Um.
Yeah, we're brainstorming the rules right now too.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
we can't do +0 on it
Okay, that makes sense.
and have it work properly.
That makes sense. So +1 to 2 or +1 to 3.
Yeah.
Is there anything
Three
that...
is very high because that's a T6 roll.
Right.
Like that's an exalted item tier affix.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll look at that's getting into the balancing of the item, and we don't know how powerful
Yeah.
the it's really going to be to change them into squirrels, because there's a lot of good and bad things about having a lot of extra minions, right? Because there's if they're all like reduced stats, they're all individually less powerful than a wolf, but together they're stronger. Suddenly AoE attacks deal more damage to your minions as a whole.
That makes sense.
So there's some weird emergent good and bad things that come out of having more.
I think ideally, if possible, with whatever mods we end up with, I think it would be cool if everything had a range on it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and that's a
I'm
concept.
making notes on that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because that can help us constrain what we choose.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah, I said everything that can have a range should, and bigger ranges on the stats in general.
Okay, so a couple of other questions I have. Is there a different drop rate for different uniques, or is it just the game goes to unique drops?
Yes, each unique has basically a reroll chance on it. That's how we've done it. So if there's if the unique would drop, it goes like, "Are you sure it dropped?" And maybe sometimes it just doesn't drop instead.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, we basically have a way that we can weight if how rare a individual unique is.
Okay.
And from your standpoint, a good way is just like it's the same thing as what you're talking about the ranges. Like, what's your philosophy on that? Like, what do you feel it should be like, and we can kind of do the math and propose it to you and explain how it'll work.
What about... Is there anything that only drops some certain bosses or certain areas right now that you can target for?
Yep. Yep, we have
Oh.
all of the end game monolith bosses have 2 items that can drop from them. One of them is more common, dramatically more common than the other. And then when you get to the empowered versions of those, so the level 100 versions, a 3rd item gets added into that pool, and it's
Oh,
the
very
most
cool.
rare of them.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So we can put it on specific bosses. We can put it on just anywhere at a reduced rate. We can do all sorts of weird things like that.
Nice. That's really cool. Huh.
Yeah, areas trickier. It's possible, but it's trickier. But specific bosses, yeah, no problem.
Cool.
So if you want a Mephisto run for your squirrel unique, I mean, it is
Literally what I was thinking, yeah.
I know.
The best thing in any game, Mephisto. So good. Actually beautiful.
I had such a hard time doing it because back then teleports didn't have what's called linear interpolation, so like the camera just snaps instantly as you would teleport, and I would get dizzy doing that farming. And I'd be like 6 hours in, I'd be dizzy. Like I have to take like breaks because my room would start spinning.
Oh, that's amazing.
So when you're just looking at the mini map, actually, you're like you just kind of blur out the background, and you're just looking at the overlay map.
Yeah, it just melts into a mud behind your eyes. I think all 3 of us have been there.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, we can do that, and that's a fun one too because I think we're trying to have some more of these. Like as you say, one thing in Epoch that we're trying to improve is the chase. So having, it's one of those things that you add over time. No single thing we add in the game is going to say magically change that. It's more like stuff like this where we think about, if we want to make a cool, interesting, game-changing, unique, but you have to actually go and find it. That's something we're really interested in
Nice.
to continue to improve.
So, what is the next step we have to do now?
Well, we'll take away all the ideas we've got here. We'll probably come up with some actual like fully built items as some examples. See how you feel about those sorts of things, and I guess like pitch the item as a built item back to you. I think it'd be good to get some ideas on names and what you want the art to look like a little bit as well before we end here.
Right, okay. So, I do like the idea of an acorn helmet, but that's probably a little bit too silly. So, I think it makes more sense in line with the Primalist, like you said, of like some sort of like helmet, like a squirrel head or something.
Just can't. I can't get the Davy Crockett squirrel helmet out of my head, man. Someone help me out. Chat's got to have a better idea than that, please. Get it out of my brain.
Oh my god.
Or imagine it's like the face of that squirrel from the YouTube video, and it's just right here.
Oh my god.
Or like a toy soldier face.
Wait,
like a nutcracker.
Just curious, but I'm gonna pull it up on stream. Is this what you mean?
Let's see. Oh, no. I need to get it out of my head. It's awful.
All right. Well, that is something for sure.
Yeah, we have. At least personally, we all love our artist Sergey. He does incredible 2D artwork. He will be better than any of us at thinking of a concept that is not overly silly. And I think if we just have a couple of thoughts about it, we can leave it in. Often that's what we do. We'll explain to him our inspiration for the skill or for the item. What we think, the fantasy it's fulfilling. And sometimes if we have more specific needs, but usually it's just that we'll explain a feeling, and he just draws them out, and it's incredible what he makes.
So for name, like a group of squirrels is called a scurry.
Okay.
I mean, I'm guessing you guys get this a lot, but I do like the idea of either the item being called something with Zizaran or my name backwards, Naraz is. But Herald of the Scurry also does sound really cool.
Yeah,
Herald of the Scurry.
I was thinking of some too, of like the Latin name of squirrel. There was like, I was like Naraz is Scurry and Frenzy or something. Like I had a few in my head, so we're pretty good with words. So that one we can hash out. I think that one too is usually when we type out to each other, because it's a lot easier to kind of just go and Google things and try to think of words and put them together.
Yeah. I like.
Harold of Scurry, we like that apparently.
Yeah.
So actually, I do too. It's pretty.
Yeah,
funny.
Herald of Scurry does sound pretty good. I do like that. I like Narassus is scurry. That's not very enjoyable to say. That's a
No.
word mouthful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then so back to the art, because I completely derailed that. Do you have any, like, are you thinking of like, more in line of the wolf pelt style?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think that is a good idea. Like just like a squirrel pelt, like a massive squirrel on your head. That makes the people wonder, right? Are there giant squirrels out there? What's next?
The largest squirrel ever noted.
Yeah.
Come back for season 17 of Last Epoch 2025, and you'll find out.
Acorn bringer is a good idea for a name too.
That's a good one.
Um,
I like that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I know where they're talking. Good reference.
Wait, what? I
don't know that reference.
I don't know that reference.
It's like it's from a D3 item. I'm
Okay.
trying to think of it.
The Nutcracker.
No. Not again.
The
That was
great
the worst
acorn.
D3 item.
I don't know. I do like the first one, which I actually can't remember now. Herald of Scurry. That's it. Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah, that was honestly a winner right
It
up
works. I like it.
Yeah. Acorn Council.
front. That's a exalted T7 boss fight.
Scurry Flurry.
Oh no.
Scurry Flurry.
That's the name of the ability they get.
Yeah.
All right, guys, Scurry Flurry.
Oh no. Yeah. No, that was an experience. This has
Cool.
made me want to do more of this.
Yeah, I mean, we can take all this, put it together, and yeah, we can do like like I said before, we'll propose out, some final ideas, and then we can just touch those up, which is usually what we do after the fact. And yeah, I mean, give you a bit more vision on it. So I think the next stage will also help you think of new ideas. A lot of the time, we'll put down ideas for items, stop for a while, and come back to them. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so how long would you guys want or need? Because I don't have too much time until PoE starts back up.
we could figure something out fairly quick, I think.
Okay. Chat, do you guys want episode 2 of this, a follow-up on stream? That's a lot of green frogs.
Oh man, I saw 2 first. I was like, uh-oh.
No, let's do something else. They're on like a 5-second delay.
Okay.
I think we're looking at about a week maybe.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah, we could literally just have like the next episode be like second of April. Oh my god, we could have the next episode be 1st of April.
If it's that, we'll show up with like 8 things that are not real first.
Yeah.
We'll play one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that either 1st or 2nd of April. But yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your, I'm assuming, very busy day. Maybe not Stan's for. He's just shit posting in my chat all day. But Mike, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it.
I had a blast. So yeah, great. Thanks for having us on, and I'm really excited about this item now. So
it was a nutty day. It was a nutty day. Yeah. No.
All right.
Chat, let's give a big thank you to both Sans and Mike. Thank you. And we'll be back in around a week. We'll probably announce it on at least my Twitter and maybe the Last Epoch Twitter as well when the next episode is going to be. So yeah. Thank you guys for joining. And more importantly, try to die less than I do. Awesome. That was that was really good. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, for sure. That was a lot of fun.
That was crazy. I'm very excited to see what this is gonna look like.
Yeah, they come together really. Sometimes it's really interesting when it actually starts closing because either it'll be like exactly what you thought, or sometimes you'll be like, wow, what's this next idea?
Yeah.
So it's always really exciting to close the ideas out.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I am gonna go back to grinding on my insane damage rogue and hope I can get the level 71 base items I need.
Yeah, I
Right.
saw you
Try to
drop
die.
Oh, the
that
dagger?
like base, that dagger.
Yeah.
We saw it happen, and we're all like, "Oh my god, that's
It
a
actually,
fantastic crafting base."
it actually ended up being worse than what I had, sadly, because I'm already
Oh,
crit
really?
capped. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Ah, it feels bad.
yeah. But I have some. To be fair, like the Marauder crisp weapons, like they're like fantastic base types.
Yep.
Very strong. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you both soon.
For sure,
See?
and try to die less than you do.
Okay, dude. Okay, all right. Thank you so much.